miner first and a node operator second.
Okay, so
Personally.
even in the Flux ecosystem, you're more heavy on the mining.
No, honestly, I got more. I think I make more on a node now than I do on my mining rigs, but I started first as a miner, and so my heart still goes first to the miners.
All right, all right. Would you rather have one really close friend or five somewhat close friends?
I prefer one close friend.
Okay, yeah, I'm right there with you. I keep my circle relatively tight, and try to grow some quality relationships through that. But I know not everybody is that same way, so
No,
definitely.
I know, and to each their own. But yeah, I rather have close friends than a lot of acquaintances.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Bitcoin or Ethereum?
Bitcoin, easy.
Any particular reason?
I don't really like the economy model for Ethereum personally. I like the economy model that Bitcoin handles. It's a finite number. You know exactly how much Bitcoin there will ever be. With Ethereum, it seems a lot more open to discussions. Like they just go and make changes left and right. Yeah, I'm a fan of Bitcoin. Period.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm the same way. So I think something like 80% of my crypto portfolio is in Bitcoin right now. So if that says anything.
Yep. No, no, same for me. Well, maybe not on the percentage levels. I'll be honest.
Yeah. All right, pancakes or waffles?
I'm Belgian, so that's an easy answer for me. That's waffles.
All right. Yeah, I forget where it was. I think Perkins, they have like Belgian waffles, and those things were good. I've had them a couple
Hmm.
times.
Absolutely.
Real estate or stocks?
Oh, uh, I'll go with real estate for now
Okay.
at the
Do you
moment.
do you own any real estate or stocks if you're open to sharing?
Yeah, I got both. I got both.
Got it. Okay. Would you rather go on a cruise or stay at a resort on the beach?
Oof. Stay at the resort at the beach. Yeah, yeah. I've done my share of ships in from Belgium to Great Britain and go to England, and then you have to take the ferry, and that's just a few hours, and I'm done after that. So I couldn't. Yeah, yeah. I'll stay away from cruises.
Fair enough. Some people really like cruises, and some people really like beaches. So it's a,
Yeah, no, I've got friends who like to, and they invite me often enough. Like, hey, let's go on a cruise, and then they go like these Mediterranean from Spain to Italy and all that fun stuff. But I'm like, nah, yeah. If I want to go to Spain, I'll fly there, and then I'll take rent a car and I'll go around there myself. Like,
fair
I
enough.
like to be free in my movement, and I feel like cruise is very constricted that way.
Definitely, yeah. I've been on one cruise before, and I would give it a solid 5 out of 10. It was good, but it wasn't great.
Yeah, exactly. These are fun questions. I'll keep them coming.
Yeah, for sure. Would you rather only be able to read or only be able to listen?
Ugh. I'll read. Yeah, I'll read.
Okay. Yeah, I'm more of an audio guy myself. I hate reading. That was always my worst subject in school. Like my reading comprehension is just not the best. So that's what podcasts are for. And
Fair
audiobooks.
enough. These days, yeah, you can do audiobooks. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I usually listen to something, whether it's a podcast or an audiobook, before I go to bed. So not a physical book type of guy. All right, Polygon or Avalanche?
Neither.
Neither.
um. Yeah, neither. I don't know enough about both projects to really make a choice, and then I stay clear.
All right, that's fair enough. Fair enough. Would you rather always be traveling or never be able to travel again?
And I'll travel. Yeah, I do a lot of traveling for my jobs anyway. Um, I like to get around.
Okay. Yeah. No, traveling is always super fun. Experiencing different things and just
Yeah,
experiencing
and
the
as
world.
much, yeah, yeah, exactly. And as much as I like to travel, I like to come home as well. But yeah, traveling is fun.
All right. Last question. What was your biggest gain in crypto since you entered the space?
My biggest gain, I would say Flux, and I did really well because I was early.
Okay. What price did you get in on Flux?
I was at there from the start, so few cents.
Nice. That's a pretty big one. Almost
Hmm.
100x at one point, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we think our all-time high is like $4 or almost $5 even on Binance. So yeah, it was crazy.
Sweet. I'll take 100x any day.
Hmm. But I didn't sell, so I haven't sold. Uh, so I'm holding most of mine.
All right. Yeah. No, fair enough. Supporting Flux, I like it. And speaking of Flux, I think now is a good time to get into kind of like a 10,000 foot view of what Flux is and all of the different components that you guys have in the works. And then from there we can kind of deep dive into the individual ones, whether that's mining, nodes, an incubator, your wallet, and kind of all that fun stuff.
Hmm. Want me to give a quick high overview?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Flux is basically proof of work concept project. So we're using miners to move our chain. We love our miners, so we're pretty well engaged with the mining community. So every block currently has a 75 Flux reward. Half goes to the miners, the other half goes to the node operators. We do have nodes in our environment. Unlike other coins or tokens, our nodes actually have a purpose. They're validators of the chain, but at the same time, they provide us with a infrastructure that we rent out to various customers. Um, so Flux is a focused at this point very heavily on a Web3 infrastructure provider. Our goal is to go against the AWSs and other cloud providers that are out there that are mostly focused on Web 2. We like to get this revenue model into the hands of regular people and not into the hands of corporate organizations such as Amazon and Google. Um, we have, as I said earlier, we're very heavily focused on our miners, so we're working on proof of useful work. Um, Proof of useful work is, in a nutshell, basically utilizing graphics cards, not just for mining and moving the chain, but using graphics cards as well in a decentralized way for useful work. And that could be rendering, AI work. But I'm also working with folks who are in the gaming space to use those cards for people to rent and then game on them. Was working on a proof of concept the other day where you could actually do something cool where people would be able to game on their iPad with the power of a regular PC. Like that's pretty cool stuff. So that's in the pipeline. That's coming. That's in a partnership with the University of Geneva and a couple other partners that will be announced later. But yeah, there's a lot of movement there as well. Um, yeah, our infrastructure is basically all managed by people like you and I. We have people running nodes on Raspberry Pis up to bare metal servers in data centers. So it's going from one left of the spectrum all the way to the other spectrum side of the spectrum. So it's pretty cool that we are reaching out to people that have a Pi in their living room and hosting a node, and they can literally have a website running on a little Raspberry Pi, versus people having multiple servers in a data center that they are renting. So it goes from A to B, A to Z basically. So that's pretty cool. Um, we know that getting into a node is at this point expensive. 1,000 Flux, because that's our smallest node, at this point is $1,000. To counter that a bit, we offer people to get into Titan, which is a staking platform built by Flux, and then you can start as soon as 50 as you have 50 Flux, and then you can start staking there. So that's pretty cool. That's it in a nutshell. I'm probably forgetting one or two things at this point, but we'll go through the AMA, and I'm sure things will pop up.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, one question I had on one thing that from my understanding, is a very key component of Flux is Zelcore, and kind of
Hmm.
curious to hear how that interacts with the ecosystem as a whole, and then also how that interacts with parallel assets. I know that's a new concept that I don't think a lot of people have heard of.
Yeah, so I forgot already about the parallel assets, which is actually a big thing. Like I said, Flux is bigger than it's sometimes easy to quickly present. It's an entire ecosystem, and Zalcor fits in there too. So there's a lot of things that are. It's a big. Um, it's a nice corporation, a nice partnership that we are having with Zalcor. Zalcor is a private company, and so Zalcor is a, for those that don't know, is a multi-asset wallet, and you can have your Bitcoin in there, your Ethereum, any coin you can think of. It probably is in there, and I think they're even releasing Ergo now in there as well. And I've heard rumors about Caspa going in there as well. So there's like all the upcoming coins are in there, and we've integrated with Zelcore from day one, back when we were still Zel, and that was our wallet of choice. You manage your nodes in there. You have a multitude of wallets in there for Flux, so you manage your Flux in there, and then definitely, but definitely not least, is the Fusion application in there that you utilize to move your parallel assets. And in what is a parallel asset? I can see a lot of people asking that already. Basically, a parallel asset is Flux on vacation. So that's how I portray it. It's Flux on the Ethereum chain, it's Flux on the Binance chain, and that Flux has the same value as a regular native Flux. And you can move them around via Fusion. What's the benefit of having parallel assets? Well, it allows us to integrate easily with other chains and other systems that use the other chains. Prime example, all of a sudden Binance comes out and says, we are now supporting Flux. And we're like, wait, what? What happened? They basically integrated with the Flux Binance chain and the Flux Ethereum chain, and they basically had wallets for Ethereum. They had wallets for Binance BEP20, and for them it was a no-brainer to easily integrate with us. And we see that more and more now. There's a lot of other companies out there that have access to the different chains that we've integrated with, and for them it's easy then to integrate with us. So if you buy Flux on Binance, you're buying Flux BSC, but you can then easily transfer and fusion it to regular Flux for you to run, for instance, a node. So
Got
yeah,
it.
Zelcore is a really nice wallet. The guys are working of things, and they're listening to community. I noticed, for instance, like an issue with iOS and Zelcore where it goes in a widescreen. That's all being tackled, and that will be addressed soon.
All right. One question I had on the parallel assets is it sounds very similar to bridging. So is it kind of like your guys' way of coining the term
Yeah, we
bridging, or is there something more to it?
so we did this before bridges became a thing.
Okay.
um, so this is our own way of doing it, and the idea is that it's always one for one. So if you we can never have more flux in the system than 440 million coins. That's set, and fusion basically takes care of that so that we can't have more flux in rotation.
Got it. So does it kind of use like a minting and burning functions, like you mint tokens on say the Ethereum chain,
Yeah,
as you're burning them on the Binance chain if you're trying to go from Binance to Ethereum?
yeah. So when we set it up, there's a we basically set up the contract on those chains, and then we do all the coding in the background on the Fusion side to make sure we do that one-on-one relationship. And so that's all logged on the chains. So you can, when you do a fusion, you can see, for instance, that you purchased, well, not purchase is a bad word, that you basically swapping from, let's say, from native to Ethereum chain. You would see your transaction on the native chain, and then you will also start seeing the transaction happening on the Ethereum chain, and then you can follow the status of it. But there's no burning or minting happening. The minting already happened when we set up the contract, and then there's a pool of coins readily available for us to interact with.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I know, like you said, you guys were one of the first people to kind of get that bridging functionality between chains, so that's super cool.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I like to preach within the development team is that keep it simple, stupid. Um, like there's other ways of doing this stuff, and bridging is one way, but there's also risks when you make it complicated. We saw that unfortunately with one of the bridges. Um, like keep it simple. There's no need to make things harder. This keeps it easy. This is easy for everybody to understand as well, and then it's easily you can easily follow the move of the coins as well that way, which is kind of the idea of blockchain.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. And we got a question from Pocket Aces in chat. So he asks, for someone just getting started looking into a mining rig, where is the best source of resources slash tips slash tricks to help?
So when I started mining myself back in what was it 2017, I think I watched a couple of videos back then from Bitspeed Trippin'. Um, so YouTube would be my easy answer. There's a lot of YouTubers out there that do really good setups and how-tos. I know Hobbyist Miner is one that comes to mind. Mototech does a lot of videos, but I think he's mostly focused on the nodes at this point. Red Panda Mining does a lot of videos on Flux as well. Um, and then we have our mining channel as well within the Discord, in the Flux Discord. There's a lot of people there that can assist as well. There's guides there that are able to that you can easily find. So YouTube and there's a lot of guides out there as well for mining Flux. Um, if, if you really want to, you can even mine with nice hash and use the algorithm and make some Bitcoin. But I would stay clear of those. And then often enough, the pools themselves have a lot of guides too, right? So if you go to Flux pools or Hero Miners or Miner Pool, those guys they probably have something in place as well where you can start where you can find a guide to start mining. You don't need much, honestly. For Flux, you can download MiniZ as your miner software. There's LOL Miner as well. Just have a recent video card, NVIDIA or AMD, because AMD is now coming up as well for Flux mining. I think LOL Miner is making some nice progress for his miner for AMD, but I believe MiniZ is optimizing as well for AMD at this point. So there's a lot of good mining softwares out there. One thing that I do recommend is that you do not mine to an exchange. That's a lesson learned for a lot of people. Um, if you mine straight to the exchange, um, be careful if they change wallets or whatever. That wallet address that you've been mining to might not be available to you anymore. Also, you are not owning that crypto at that point. It is in your account on the exchange. So try and mine to a wallet proper. Uh, that's just a lesson learned for a lot of people. I know I got burned, for instance, with what was it back in the day with the exchange going belly up, the one in Australia or New Zealand. I forgot the name now, but yeah, that one disappeared, and I had some coins on there that I had mined. Luckily, shitty coins. Don't get me wrong, but still, that feels awkward, right? When you spend all that time mining and then it's all gone. So just be careful.
Yep, not your keys, not your wallet.
And then talking about wallets, don't keep your wallet on the mining rig. That's another one that I can give as a quick tip, just in case.
All right. And speaking of the mining pools, um, what are the differences in the pools, if any? And then how do you pick the right one?
How do you pick the right pool for you? So for starters, I tend to always avoid the largest. I know there's a reason they are the largest, but a lot of people look at mining pool stream or whatever it's called, the website, and just go with the biggest one. I like to not follow the crowd, so I like to go to the next one in line or the third one in line. What I like to do is I like to pick a pool that has a stratum server, which is basically your access point into a mining pool that is close to you. Um, Latency doesn't really affect you too much when mining, but it's nice to be able to mine that's to something with a low latency at all times, just in case, right? So you don't want to miss out the shares. So being able to be on a pool that's close to you is good. Um, I like to pick a pool that's a little established, personally. Reason being is that these guys have gone through most of the issues that you can run into as a pool operator. Um, Often enough, pools are attacked, so pools that have DDoS protection is good. I stay clear of 0% pools myself. Um, I like to pay the pool for the service that they're providing. They need to maintain servers. They need to spend a ton of times on pools. It is not an easy thing to do running a pool. I was a pool operator myself once. The amount of time you spend on this and what you're getting back out of it, yeah, it's sometimes not the same. It doesn't correlate well. 0% fees is not maintainable. So if you're mining on a pool that does this nonstop, how are they making money to be able to pay for the infrastructure that needs to be run? And it's not little, right? You need a lot of service for this and infrastructure and services that they need to procure as well to maintain everything up and running. So stay clear of 0% pools. If it's an action, if it's like a temporary thing, that's fine. But if they guarantee it like 0% all the time, no, I don't trust that. Like, how are you getting your coins to be able to run everything? So, um, but then also look at a pool that doesn't charge you an arm and a leg for your service either, right? So, 1% is kind of my go-to pool fee structure. And then as well, if look at the PA fees that they're charging, make sure that's not too high either.
All right. So yeah, there's definitely a lot to learn about mining pools. It's not
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, like keep an eye on what some of the YouTubers are doing. That's always a good starter. Just to get going, and then you learn yourself. Like, is this what I want to keep doing? Like, do I want to keep mining on this pool? Yeah, make sure. Another thing that I looked at when I was mining Ethereum, yes, I did mine Ethereum. Um, how fast do I get to the payout, the minimum payout, right? So if the minimum payout is set really high and it takes you a long time to get there, well, do know that those coins are not yours yet, right? They're still on the pool at that point. And again, if they're sticking on the pool, you are at their mercy before you can get to those coins. So try and pick a pool that has a low payout if you're a smaller miner, so you get your coins faster in your own wallet. That's another quick tip.
yeah. There's like I said, a lot to learn with mining pools and all the intricacies that mining has to offer. So that's one of the things that we're looking to integrate on our education center is a section dedicated just to mining and what you need to know to get set up. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that. And then as far as you have both nodes and proof of work mining in your ecosystem, how is that kind of split between the reward system of the block? Because I know you said there's 75 flux per block, and if I read correctly, the block is every 2 minutes.
That is correct. So every 2 minutes a block is found, or the chain is trying to attempt to find a block every 2 minutes. Let me correct myself. There's not a guarantee. Um, and so if it block time takes a little longer, the difficulty drops, um, relatively. If the blocks are found like within seconds of each other, the difficulty will shoot up to get to that 2 minute block time. Every block has a fixed reward that is 75 flux at the moment, plus parallel assets on top of that. Um, that block reward is split, so 50% goes to the miner who found the block. In these days, that's often a pool, so it's a pool that gets half of the 75, and then they split it over their miners. The other 50% goes to 3 node tiers. So 3 nodes are being paid out. There will be one Cumulus node will be receiving his reward, Nimbus, and a Stratus server as well. They get the block rewards with a fixed percentage. I don't know them by heart. I would have to look them up. I think it's 7.5 for a Cumulus, and then up to 50% for the Stratus server. That's fixed, and the node operators know exactly when they're getting paid out as well. Like that's full transparent. Every node operator has a certain rank on the chain, and every time a block is found, they move one rank up. So basically, I think there's about 9,000 cumuluses currently on the chain. So if you're starting up your node, well, you're now 9,001 until the next block is found. Now you move up to position 9,000, etc., etc. So you know exactly when you're going to be paid out, and you can even calculate. There's a couple websites now out there. One of that my kids made, and then there's another site from Second TL Mining, and you can literally put your wallet address in. You can see all your nodes, and you know exactly when you can expect your next payment, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now,
Sorry, go ahead.
for a miner, it's not as easily predictable. Your pool needs to find the next block, of course, to get a reward. Um, yeah. So, can you game that system? A little bit, but it's more, yeah, you're more depending on luck. So if you join like a really tiny pool, you can have really good days where you can find a lot of blocks, and because there's a lot less of you on the pool, your share is bigger. So if the pool finds more blocks that day, well, you have a bigger payout that day. But on the other end, you have to keep in mind that small pool might have a harder time finding a block, and then it takes a little longer to be paid, and your day might not have been fruitful that day. So that's why I say, like, stick to pool number 2 or 3. It's more the pay is a lot more spread out. Sorry, tongue twister there. It's a lot more spread out, so you kind of know more. It's more steady payout that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And is there a way to, or once a node is created, is it there permanently, or can it be taken back like by like unstaking coins, or how does that work?
Yeah, so that's a really good question because unfortunately, there's a couple node systems out there, especially when you're talking ERC20 tokens. They burn, right? So I'm not gonna name the tokens. I think we're all strong people here that know not to trust certain things, and I might have given it away of one of them. But those guys, they burn the token, and that burn token is then used to pay other node operators. That's not how we work. With Flux, you buy or you mine up to 1,000 Flux, and you can start up your node. And if you want to dismantle the node, you get your 1,000 Flux straight back. You never lose that 1,000. Even to the point that 1,000 Flux actually stays in your wallet. And the way we know that 1,000 Flux is being used is because of a transaction to your own wallet. So you move your 1,000 Flux to your own wallet. That is a transaction, and that transaction is used to stand up your node. So you never lose your 1,000 Flux. So you can dismantle it whenever you want.
Okay, I like it. And then, as far as there's also staking as well in the Zelcore wallet. So how does that vary between the node providing and then also the staking? Like, is there a significant difference in rewards? Or is like a good reason why
Oh yeah.
somebody would want to go into nodes versus staking?
So nodes pay better, period. Right. So if you're managing a node, we know that one. So for starters, we call our nodes basically decentralized system administrators. Um, they're managing their system, right? So having one node might not take as much time in your day to manage, but if you have 10 cumulus nodes, for instance, and those 10 nodes, you need to manage those. They need to have maintenance done on them, updates done on them. Um, you might need to service the computer it's running on, etc. We know that takes up time, and so you get paid more for those type of servers. Now, if you're standing up a Stratus server, for instance, which is 40,000 coins, you need a beefier machine, and so that requires more input. You need to pay bigger machinery, so it takes a little bit more upfront cost, so you get paid a little more. Now, if you do staking, staking by itself is just basically moving or locking up your coins, and your hands off. You don't have to do anything else. So in that regard, staking pays less, but at the same time, you're basically paying for a service managed service offering at that point, right? So you're not doing anything yourself. Hence, staking pays less. I think currently the APR for staking hovers around 7% for a year, which is a pretty good deal, I think, still for staking. But like I said, like you get way more out of a node. But then again, the downside of a node is that you might have some more costs going with it. So, but still, in the end, nodes are still made more profitable.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. And I guess to zoom out a little bit, I know we touched on this like at the very beginning, but with the whole um, goal of Flux of being that decentralized cloud service,
Hmm.
what is the advantages of using the decentralized cloud service versus just sticking with AWS, and how is Flux better than that system, and what are ways that Flux can improve to continue to be better than one of those systems?
That's a loaded question. Good
Yeah.
question, huh? So AWS, I don't know if how many people have used AWS in the past. AWS is pretty good at what they do. I'm not gonna lie, they're good, um, but they're expensive. That's the big kicker to it. Like it's a lot of money. We did a State of the Union a few weeks back. We had a one slide in there, and I mispresent some numbers here. I could look it up quickly, but AWS, for instance, I charges roughly about $100 a month, and then you get 4 cores and 16 gigs of RAM, and you have one instance. It's in the cloud, so there's some redundancy that they guarantee on their end. Um, but compare that with what Flux offers you for 4 cores and 16 gigs of RAM, you pay $10 a month. That's 1/10 of the cost of what AWS does. Um, and not just for one instance, you get 3 instances. That's how we make sure that your application always stays online. It comes straight away with those 3 instances with some load balancing, and it comes with a predefined DNS that you can link, of course, to your own DNS if you want. But that's big. Like it's a fraction of the cost of what AWS does. I believe Google is even more expensive. And I didn't even. I would have to look what Azure asks these days, but um, plus we're a decentralized platform. For whatever reason, I mean, you're not picky on the location of your server. Your 3 nodes or your 3 instances are spun up across the network, and the network at this point is about 13,000 nodes, and it's about close to 100,000 cores, virtual cores that are available to you. If for whatever reason the internet goes down or a tornado hits the location for AWS, well, that data center for AWS probably is down for a time, for a good time, probably. If we had node operators who were using AWS services, which I know for a fact there's a couple people who do it. I don't know their costs and whatever, but I know a couple people doing it. And let's say your application is running on one of those. No biggie. Like that tornado can literally flatten that warehouse. That's okay. Your node is spawned up elsewhere. As soon as we know it's down, it's being spawned up elsewhere. So when we say 3 instances, we are always trying to get you 3 instances. To the point even, and I was looking at to the stream of Tag Doofus the other day, and he spun up one of his little applications. It was a Hello Kitty application where it shows cat facts, just to showcase how you set up something on Flux. And I think it spawned like 10 instances or something just to get going, and then it'll reduce them just to make sure you get what you pay for. But we oversaturate first to make sure everything is up and running, and then it dies down a little to make sure you get what you pay for. But that's the big kicker to it. Like it's a lot less money to host something on Flux, and the reason we can do that is because we don't have to pay the middleman, right? We don't have to do the management of it. We don't have to manage any infrastructure. We know exactly every person providing cloud computing to the network knows exactly how much he's going to make. He knows that he's rank 1,000 at this point, so it'll take him a day and a half tops before he knows what he's being paid, and he knows exactly how much he's being paid. That's set in stone, right? So that's the big ticket item is that we don't have the overhead AWS says and Google it does. It's all tied to the chain. You know what you're getting paid.
Got it. Yeah, no, that's a lot that we could go into right there, for sure.
Well, we
I,
can do that on another time too. Like we can do it now. We can always do another AMA. I don't mind.
yeah, for sure. I guess one of the bigger questions then is there anything like on the user end? Because obviously, other than like the different instances and having less risk of something going down, is there anything else that makes the decentralized version better than what is currently out there with AWS?
Well, what it also makes better currently already is this fact is that it's spawned across the world, right? So we're guarantee you uptime that way. But you also can do geolocation. You can spawn up multiple instances in a heartbeat. You manage it with 2DFA from Zelcore with the wallet, so we don't do any KYC at the moment. I don't think we plan on either. And it's all paid with crypto too. That's the other kicker to it. Like with AWS, you have to pay with a credit card or whatever. We're actually going to offer that too. At one point, we will be able to link you up with hosting, and you pay with a credit card. The other thing that we have is that we're an iterative technology, which means that we're constantly improving our stuff. Um, we we listen to what the community says and how they feel about hosting something on Flux and how easy or how difficult it can be. We know for people who are used in who are in the IT space most of their time, it's not as hard to stand something up. But for people who don't use it as often, it was a little tricky. And so we listened and we created Jetpack, the first iteration of it. And Jetpack is literally a step-by-step process on, okay, now fill in these parameters. Now fill in the name of your application. Um, where do you want us to grab the application from? And then it takes you step by step. Of course, if you're tag doofus and you're not reading what's on your screen, it's still hard, as he noticed himself. But once he read the instructions, it was pretty easy for him to deploy at that point. And he did one last week, I think, or Monday, um, where he had never deployed anything on Flux, and so he did it all live on stream, and he had really no issues. That's the beauty of it, right? It's we're always improving, and there's always going to come more stuff to it. We're if you look at the GitHub, I think it was last night, I saw something about databases, so decentralized databases, and so we're always improving, and it's just gonna increase. on the opportunities and the functionality that's with Flux.
Yeah, I like that mindset of always improving and trying to just improve the product and make it accessible to more people and more user friendly. And kind of on that topic, has there been anything like goals or values that have changed within the company or even yourself since you started Flux and then up to now where you guys currently are and kind of where you see Flux going?
Well, we're not Google, right? Google had this one mantra of "Don't be evil." Um, we follow the same mantra, but we call it "Don't be evil" again. Um, we're basically making sure that we stick to our beliefs to this, right? So we're really focused on the decentralized piece. Like everything we do is like, how does this benefit the community in the long run? Um, that counts for Titan. In the first iteration of Titan, that's going to improve. We're still working on that, and we're going to make sure that people do get to do what we said we wanted them to do. Being able to stand up a node together. That's still in the works. Will it come quickly? No, but we're always working on improving ourselves. We have people come to us that have similar type of projects. I have a partnership coming where people can deploy apps on, and they came to me and said, "Hey, we want to look and work with Flux potentially. Is there an opportunity?" And it's like, well, let's be honest. You kind of do the same thing we're doing, but that doesn't mean we can't work together. Um, we're pretty open with partnerships, and we're always looking at ways of working together with other people, and that's our philosophy. You will not hear us talk bad about other coins. We will have our opinions, and team members will have opinions on certain coins, and they're allowed to express that. But by the project itself, we're not going to talk bad about any other coin. Um, and we're very well always have the backs of our community. We want to make sure the community is safe at first. There was an incident with what coin was it the other day that had issues? I think it was Solana, and I straight away got in Discord, talked to the devs, to the folks who do the Zelcore piece of it as well. And the first thing I said, like, okay, let's freeze fusion here. Um, Make sure that as the folks who have Flux that they're safe. That whatever is happening on the Solana network, I think there was a potential hack or whatever was going on, and we just said, look, let's freeze the coins so that if for whatever reason people get their hands on wallets that and people might lose Flux, they can't move it into Flux and they can't do anything with it. So we're always trying to make sure that everybody's is safe. And one big piece as well is we're always preaching for organic growth. We don't have VC backing, right? There's no VCs there. So we have to improve ourselves to make the product better and to work on the price. You will not hear us talk about price. The only time we did it was in the State of the Union, and that was the first time we actually talked about the price. But that was in a more of a predictive way. Like, this is what we're having now, this is our goal, and this is how we were getting to it. And while we're doing it, this is probably what the price will be. So we like to be very open on what we're doing. You'll see a lot of announcements in our channel in Discord or in Twitter. Um, and our Discord is open. You can reach us at any given time. I'm in Discord, so you can be talking to the lead business dev one-on-one right there. You can talk to developers. You can talk to Dan, who's one of our leaders or the co-founders in the project. Like, we're all open and easy to talk to.
Yeah, I like that a lot, and I personally have experienced that as well. Like you said, super open and easy to talk to. So I just dropped a link to your guys' Discord for anybody that is not in there and wants to check it out. I've got two questions left before we jump into the Kahoot. So the first one is about Flux Labs and your goals of incubating other projects to help them succeed and be influential in the Web3 space. So I'm curious to hear more about Flux Labs.
Yeah, Flux Labs, very popular at the moment. We got a lot of people applying for it, to the point that we sometimes have to say no. Um, and when we say no, it's because it's not like we don't believe in the project or anything like that. It's just because it might still be too early. Like they might not have everything redefined yet, or they haven't set their goals properly yet, or something like that, right? So it's just we basically hold off at that point. But we will give them pointers. With Flux Labs, we help a potential partner. It's basically a stepping stone to become a full-fledged Flux partner. Um, or it could be just a way for them to being able to talk to developers from Flux straight on. Um, we help them with their business development side. We help them with marketing. We help them with legal concerns. Um, we provide them with infrastructure to help them get going. There's a lot, depending on what the project is, we might focus on one aspect more than the other. Um, Basically, it's a way to help people grow their little business that they're starting off. Um, and that goes from folks who are dabbling with NFTs to folks who create something new. And we have there's a variety of things out there, and that's all available on the website as well on runonflux.io. You can see and you can go to Flux Labs and see who's currently a partner in that regard. But it's to help focus, to help small projects gain access to bigger communities, gain access to knowledge that we have that we like to share with them, and get them to the next phase in their project life.
Yeah, and I think that's super huge. And speaking from personal experience, like when you go out and try to start something, especially in this space, you don't really know where to go. Like the answers aren't very clear on a lot of various factors that are involved in creating a project. So having a mentor of sorts or a group that's helping you along in that process is absolutely massive. So I think that
Well,
is
and that
amazing.
you're absolutely right, right? So where do I go? Like, I need an exchange. Who do I go to? And we have those contacts, right? Or um, I have questions regarding a legal piece to it. Like, what am I doing? Am I putting myself at risk here or not? We have access to legal people who can answer that. Um, I need to host something, right? How do I get this hosted? It's a little bit more tricky than just running a website. Like, and then I go to folks like Little Stash and hey, can you help this guy get going? Um, and we assign a business developer most of these times to these type of projects so that they have an easy contact person as well, and to answer those type of questions that, like you said, where do I go, how do I start. um, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I like it. I think that's a good segue into my last question, and then there are a couple of really good community questions as well that I want to ask before the Kahoot. So hopefully there's
Yeah.
not too much time taken up, but um, I know you guys have some very impressive partners. Like I know I saw even Nvidia was on there on your website. That's
Yep.
super exciting. That's a huge partnership. So how do you guys go about acquiring partnerships? What do you look for in a partnership? And I guess are there any other key partners that you want to highlight?
Well, there's a lot of people out there that we're working with, right? So some are advertised, some might not be advertised as much. Nvidia is definitely one of them that we advertise. The way it works is it's basically networking, right? Like we have access to people within Nvidia, and Nvidia has access to people from our side. Um, that type of networking gives. There might be somebody walking in Nvidia having an idea, and they're like, well, maybe talk to the Flux guys. They have some cool things you can work with, and there's some things brewing at this point. And I'm sorry, I'm not Leaky Dan, but there's some things brewing with Nvidia as well, um, that uh, that Nvidia folks brought to us, and we're working together on some cool things there, and some are related to proof of user work. Um,
You're welcome to
we
share.
had, I bet I am. I bet I am. And we got a partnership going with Lumen, for instance. Why is that important? Well, Lumen is a more of a Web 2 focused, old school hosting firm, right? They're massive, massive, massive company. To the point even that one of our guys who works for Lumen, even he's like, "Who are you guys working with in with Lumen?" Like I didn't even know. They're that big, but it allows us if we need infrastructure to do testing for something. These guys have a vast amount of servers available to us. They're assisting us with Titan, so they're one of the companies who will be hosting Titan servers for the community. Um, that's one partnership. We're working with Seed. Seed is focused on providing hardware for nodes, and I can keep going. There's a couple other ones, and I'm probably missing a few that I should be mentioning at this point. But um, and we got Kidena. Let's say that, right? To look at the application side of things. And Kidena uses Flux as well for their hosting. Um, they even had issues at one point, or they or Cadix, for instance, that's one of the offsprings of of Cadena. It's one of a coin that's running on Cadena. They were releasing their Cadix decentralized exchange. They were having issues. Flux was there as a partner, and we basically spun up more servers within in no time for them to be able to get their exchange properly rolling. Um, it's things like that that we really like. Like we like partnerships as a partner. Like we're working with them, and we can ask them questions, and we can go to them for resources and knowledge. But they do the same to us. Like they come to us for resources, they come to us for knowledge, and that's what I like working. I know there's a couple really other bigger partners out there. Stay tuned in September. There will be a nice press release of another partnership coming. Something I even have to travel for. Um, that one is pretty big as well, and it's a different type of partnership. You'll see when it gets released, but it's we're getting out there, and where we had to go searching for partnerships before, and go like, hey, you guys have an interest in talking to us? We just want 5 minutes of your time. At this point, it seems to me that we're still doing that. Don't get me wrong, we're still reaching out to other folks. Um, but at the same time, people come to us now, and that's pretty cool. Like my day is filled with meetings and potential partnerships, and we explore, and we're pretty open on these things when we're going into these conversations, and we're like, okay, guys, appreciate you reaching out to us, but I don't think we can help you, or that's amazing. We never thought about this. Like, I think we did a new partnership for Flux Labs, a decentralized kind of Google app platform where you can a Google store kind of deal. Um, and these guys reached out to us, and we're like, yeah, that's a great thing. Let's help you out. Let's figure it out. And I think that was announced yesterday. Um, it's yeah, it's nonstop at this point with the potential partnerships that we have.
Yeah, that's super awesome. And I think that one thing that cannot be overstated is just enjoying the ride. It is super exciting to be a part of something that is growing and people are showing interest in it, and you get to hear about exciting people you're talking with or partnerships you're making almost every single day. And I don't know, it's just super exciting to be in this space because it's growing so fast and you just get to be a part of so much. So that's exciting.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I fully agree, and it's fun to see them grow as well, right? Or they launch their applications or their NFTs or their websites or whatever. It's really nice to see them and then succeed as well, and then grow from there. Yeah, I think that's what I get out of it is seeing other people succeed at it.
Yeah, definitely. Always super exciting. But yeah, we got a couple really good questions from the community. First one from Defaulter. Asks, in the next year, what excites you the most about Flux? And then what is your biggest concern, if any, with Flux?
Um, What excites me the most at this point is definitely proof of user work. I'm I got my first hand view on everything that's being built in there. The folks that are working on it, I get to learn from these folks. I might not be the smartest kid on the block, but I am working with pretty smart people, and that is pretty cool to see. Um, Proof of use work is going to make a difference. I'm in medical IT myself for my day-to-day uh, job, and being able to later on utilize proof of use work for that is going to be massive for myself. So I'm looking really forward to that, and it might be not as how people see proof of use work. And I know a lot of people are thinking it's going to be a massive new change and it's going to be a massive new algorithm. No, that's not it. That can later still be added to it. Again, like I said earlier, keep it simple, right? So keep it simple, stupid. Start simple. How do we get to those video cards? How do we make them do things that are useful for other people to use, and then still make for those miners who are providing those cards, they make something out of it, and then the other people on the side, the consumer side of things, they get access to all of these cards. Um, if we keep going where we're going with the proof of user work, it's going to be a massive supercomputer, but a decentralized one, right? You're going to have people out of Australia mining. You're going to have people out of South America, Africa, all working together on an AI piece. That to me is my dream. That's how I want to see it happen. And I'm talking to university professors who are doing in the medical field, trying to find a easy AI pattern to find a lesion in kidneys, for instance. Um, and the amount of video cards that they had to their disposal to be able to find it was mind-blowingly low. Having 60 video cards to do this work with, that takes you weeks upon months. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, I got 1,000 miners on Flux Pool. If I can give you guys these cards, that would be amazing. Like, your 3 weeks would be reduced to a day, not even. That would make things progress so much faster later on. That to me is my big goal. Am I scared of something? No. Scared that we, I would not I would have to think about that one actually. Am I scared about the price? No. Am I scared because we were up at $4 and we're now at $1. We went down to 40 cents. We came from 2 cents. So price is not my fear. Regulations, not either. And we're we've been vetted by a lot of audit firms out there already. We're good there. Yeah, I would have to think about what I'm actually really scared of. Um, will we have negative press with Ethereum maybe failing their merge? Yes. Is that going to have an impact on the crypto space altogether? Absolutely yes. But am I afraid of it? No. I think Ethereum will be just fine. I think that merge will be just fine. I'm not on the sidelines, for instance, cheering that it's going bad. I think it'll be just fine. So yeah, I don't really have a big fear at this point. Um, my biggest fear is that um, personally is that I might not have done enough yet. Like maybe I should be doing even more. But I think I spent a lot of time on Flex already. So that's my only fear.
Got it. No, I like those answers, and I think what you explained with the video cards things with um, having 60 versus 1,000 in a pool and being able to reduce times on things from 3 weeks to under a day, like things like that are super super exciting that are possible because of the decentralized nature and blockchain technology. So super
Yep.
exciting stuff, and a really exciting space to be a part of. But yeah, one last question from the community before we get into the Kahoot.
hmm
Can you tell us the requirements on how we can efficiently run Flux node? And then will there be any permission needed to be compiled before we officially run on your network?
So Running a node is honestly not that hard, right? So if you want to run it at home, we provide you with a lot of tools already to easily stand it up. There's a nice guide that takes you through it all. Some of the things that we've learned, some of the things that other people have learned. The guide that's on the Discord that's available, and I think it's on the website as well, is it looks very daunting when you open it up and you're like, oh, it's bullet points after bullet points on how to set up a node. But in the end, ultimately, it's two commands you run. The first one is install in Docker, and the second command is installing Flux node itself. There's of course the how-to is, for instance, goes into how do I move my 1,000 Flux in the wallet? How do I do that? And even if you run through the guide, and there's even YouTube videos out there, even after that, you hop in the Discord and you say, "Look, I'm going with through this particular issue, and I'm guaranteeing you somebody already has faced this, and he or she will help you out, and they'll it is there's a lot of people out there, and I'll shout out to Derv, who's one of our mods on the Discord. He's answering questions, but you can have Walter, who's our lead developer, answering questions to you as well. Um, Sometimes we might answer a little snarky or with a little bit of sarcasm. I'm not gonna lie. It's all a hobby too for us. But most of the guys are pretty professional on the answering the questions, um, and that's not just from our team. That could be a community member. I know there's a guy called Enable in the Discord as well, and he's answering questions as well. So it's pretty cool to see the community helping out themselves, and you don't have to worry about compiling or anything. The commands that you run that are available in the GitHub, it'll basically start something up called the multi toolbox, and even after that, after the first time you ever run it, after that, you can just type multi-toolbox and enter in Linux, and it'll open up for you. Those are things grabbing it from the GitHub, pulling that back, and it installs it all for you. And um, and even after you got everything running, during the setup phase, it's even asking you, you want to install Watchdog, and Watchdog is basically the little guy in the server that keeps an eye on everything. Is FluxOS still running? Yes. Is the benchmark still okay? Yes. Oh, it's failed. Better restart the benchmark. Make sure we try it again. And it'll try it again and then again and again. And it'll alert you. It'll go to your own Discord server. You set up your own Discord server or your own Telegram, and it'll alert you. Hey, something's going on with your node. I'm acting on it. This is what I'm doing already. But just so you're aware, something's happening. So it'll try and do things for you. Um, and 9 out of 10, Watchdog will save your ass, and Watchdog will keep your node up and running so you don't lose your rank and start again. But if it does happen, and there's a Flux analyzer where you can see all your logs, it's all provided to you. And like I said, even if you still run into issues or you don't know how to get to these things, or you missed it in the guide, you go on the Discord and you ask for help, and people will help you out.
Got it. Yeah, that's super awesome. I know, like we had talked about a little bit ago. Your team is super open, super helpful, very friendly, professional. So, and like you
Mm-hmm.
said, if you need any help with setting up nodes or anything, just hop over to their Discord, and I'm sure somebody will
Ask
be.
away.
Yeah. And actually, we got one last question from Bree. Did it? Flux isn't an EVM, right? It's its own thing. Question mark.
We are our own thing. Yes. Yeah, we have our own chain. You can see the development on the chain on GitHub. Um, Everything you see is available on GitHub. I think the only thing that we don't really disclose as much is the benchmark, but that's mostly to save everybody else from bad actors. There's some proprietary code in there, but Flux by itself is available to everybody to see, and you can see the code and GitHub and all that fun stuff.
Got
But
it.
yeah, we're definitely our own thing.
Awesome. All right. So, are we ready for that Kahoot?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, all right. I just put a link. We actually are using something called Aha Slides. So most people know the name Kahoot way better than Aha Slides, so that's why I call it a Kahoot. But it's essentially the same thing. It's a quiz that or can you can have multiple choices, true, false, and it gives you points based off of if you answer the question correctly and how fast you answer it. So just a heads up there. These questions are honestly not the easiest. I'll be honest. Alex did a really good job of getting some good questions going, but yeah, I will share my screen now, and you guys can see the code. You'll have to. I dropped the link in the AMA questions channel, so you have to click that link and then type in the room code to join.
I'm kind
So
of curious myself now.
yeah, let me know if you can see the screen.
One thing to add real quick, if you guys do win, make sure you take a screenshot of your screen and send it over to Zach.
Yes, please. Otherwise, you could join with your Discord username. That would make it the easiest. But yeah, if you do win, there's 50 Flux on the line, if that's correct. Um, and yeah, so winner gets 50 Flux as a reward for paying attention and being a good listener. But we'll give it a couple minutes for people to join in. I know
Yep.
sometimes it
I
takes a little bit.
saw. Yeah, while we're waiting for people to join in, I saw one question from Nalaka, and I'm not gonna try the other side of the name. Udaya Kumara. I think that's probably it. He's like, "Are you afraid someday there will be another project with more innovative technology that can replace your project?" Um, the space is so big, right? Like even if with our estimate that we did, and people were laughing like, "Oh, $100 flux." Um, Even if we do that, and our ecosystem or our revenue would still be only a tiny fraction of what AWS does, and that's just only AWS. Um, like there is space. There's so much space for this to have other projects coming into it. And I know for a fact there's other people doing something similar to what we're doing right now. Um, Are we afraid of those? No. I think there's a lot of partnerships out there and a lot of other coins that can live in the same space next to each other just fine. I have no issues with that whatsoever.
Yeah, I like
I saw
that.
that like like if you're afraid and you put yourself in that position to start with, you become very defensive and hostile, and that actually works against you in the long run, regardless. So try and work together with your potential competition. Like it's there's so much things that we can do all together, and we're pretty unique what we're doing regardless. The way we have our ecosystem set up and all. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyhow,
I think
that
competition is definitely a good thing in most cases. Sometimes markets can get saturated, but I think especially in the space that we're at in such a fast growing uh, industry, I mean, competition is a good thing. It helps keep that growth going and partnerships can be made and really there's room for everybody at the table to eat. So that's a good mindset to have. But yeah, I'm
all right.
ready to start the Kahoot. So I'm gonna go ahead, start it up. First question: do you own any Flux? So this is just a poll. There's no right or wrong answer.
Well, there is in my book, but all right.
Well, point wise, there's no right or wrong answer.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But yeah, some of the questions have multiple answers. So like, I think there's one of them that has 6 options, but 4 of them are correct. So it'll say the questions will say how many correct answers there are. So there's no questions there.
Interesting. I got work to do. There's a lot of people who don't have Flux yet.
Yeah, yeah, you're reaching a good new audience.
All right. And I think the questions now get a little harder, right?
Yes, yes, they do. Alex picked out some really, really tough ones,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah, I
with
know.
with multiple answers. But it's tough for everybody unless you just come in and answer all of them correctly. Win some 50 Flux for yourself.
Well, that makes it easy on my part, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Sleepy Joe taking the lead. So there are three correct answers, so you might have to check three boxes before clicking the submit button. And just so everybody's on the same page, I know Kahoot is a little bit differently with the way that they do it, but you'll have to select the boxes and then go to the bottom and click submit rather than just clicking the boxes. All right. Looks like people know what Flux is. That's good. Sleepy Joe still in the lead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I saw the questions that Alex put out there. And I had to read them twice myself, to be fair. Like, he did a really good job there.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely one of the hardest Kahoots we've had. Probably the hardest Kahoot we've had, but it's fun regardless. And while we're kind of going about this Kahoot, I'm curious to hear what's the long-term vision for Flux, say 5, 10, maybe even 15 years down the line.
Ooh, that is a very good question. So short term, we got everything running already for basic setups with the nodes. That is going to be evolving, and we're looking at other use cases with Kubernetes and all that. So we're going to keep evolving the use case for our infrastructure, the node infrastructure, and the use cases for those. That's going to evolve constantly. Um, and Definitely on the proof of use work, that's going to evolve as well, right? So we're going to get our first iteration out, and then that's going to just keep on, that'll keep on growing. And there will be different iterations out of it. Um, oh wow, Sleepy Joe just keeps on going there. So that's just going to grow, and we're going to have more partnerships coming along. There will be new technologies that come in the system and in the ecosystem. So Flux is just going to keep growing and evolving. That's the main goal. We don't sit still. That's the thing, right? Don't sit still and enjoy what you've built and then maybe tweak it here and there. No, we're gonna keep building new things. Proof of use work. We didn't really talk about it as much before, so things like that are just growing.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm curious to hear what is proof of use of work. I don't think we, like you said, we haven't touched up on that. And I think that's another unique concept that you guys have going for you guys.
Yeah, no. So proof of use work. We touched basically on it. It's providing all the video cards out there, right? So that was always a big pain point for a lot of people who are into gaming, and I can't get to my video cards. All the miners are buying the video cards, and or another one that I hear a lot is mining takes up a lot of energy, and so proof of use work is trying to tackle that, getting those video cards back into projects that need access to those, and like the AI research or video rendering, um, or decentralized streaming, game streaming. Not just watching a streamer play a game. No, actually using somebody else's gaming rig to game for yourself. So that's kind of the thing with that. Um, and then the green aspect of it too. Like we're working where in Switzerland we're working with an electricity company that is looking at utilizing our stuff too, so that they can um, mine after hours when their solar power is all. And so during the day, the solar panels are providing the electricity that the people need. But after the dark, when it gets dark, people actually lose less electricity. And now that electricity is just sitting there, and so we're looking at ways of how can we have people mine Flux after hours, but then do it on cheap electricity because that's electricity that doesn't get used anyways. So that's a couple of the things that we're thinking of.
All right. Yeah, that's super cool.
Where are we? Where
So
are we with the questions at this point?
we are I believe on 12 or 13, but we got uh, Tanner in the lead, followed closely by Kalen and Reg EV Norm Guy. Question 10, my bad. But yeah, that cheap electricity, I didn't realize until a little bit ago, like how much the time of day depend or changes the electricity cost. I think at least for my place, it's like 5.6 cents per. I forget the metric or the measurement unit that they use, but it's like 5.6 cents per. Is it kilowatt hour? And then
Yep.
in the middle of the day, it's something like 25 cents. So it goes up a lot. Ooh, Kaylin taking the lead. Just 7 more questions.
Yeah, we're almost there.
I don't know if we answered this one directly. People might have to do a little bit of math in their heads. Yeah, another question I like to ask people is, what do you do on a personal level that hopefully will impact your business capabilities or professionalism, or just make you a better person overall?
Um, Education, right? So I teach that to my kids as well. Never sit still, right? So you can watch YouTube videos all you want, all the entertainment. Do spend some of your personal time on that, on training something new. That could be anything. I did not have any knowledge on engines, but my mower broke down and the engine was just acting up. I had no idea, so I went to the main education out there at this point in time, and that's YouTube. And I started Googling and looking for people who had fixed up engines. And so basically, educating yourself is a massive thing. And then the other one that's really important is networking. Op- Open up, right? Open up to other people. Like, it's remarkable how much you can learn from other people by just having a conversation. Um, when you're traveling a lot and you do a lot of networking without you knowing it. When you're walking to the gate and you're talking to the person, to the flight stewardess, being friendly right there and talking to her, you open up to a lot of people then. It's ridiculous how much you can do by just being friendly and communicating and talking to people. I think it's a big thing. Networking is big, and the more you grow in life, the more people you learn, and having good relationships with a lot of people will help you and get you ahead in life.
Oh yeah.
And the younger you start doing it, the better.
Yep. Yeah, a common saying which I think I've seen come true more and more is your network is your net worth. Definitely,
That's
definitely notice
that
that.
that is a really good way of putting it. Yeah, I'm surprised nobody picked Davy Labs. I'm kind of disappointed. There's no future in Davy Labs. It seems that's good to know.
Yeah. Poor Davy Labs.
Nope.
All right, I think this is the third to last question. I think Kaylin is still in the lead, so kudos to Kaylin. I've got one last question for you. So, what
Shoot.
is the way, or what is your definition of success?
Oof, that is very personal. I feel like I achieved success already when I got married, and or I feel I had success when I got my first son or my first kid. Like it, success. The biggest thing with success is you can't forget to celebrate it when it happens. Um, and then um, don't get hung up on it either. Like just keep going. Don't settle for it. Um, Success is personal, right? So you might see it different than I do. but for me, success can be even during the day. You can have a really nice success thing. Like you can go into a meeting where you're like, "Oof, I don't know." Um, of course, Alex put that one in there. Yeah, that's an inside joke. If you're in the Flux Discord, you'll see that often enough happen. But yeah. But yeah, no, success is personal. Like I feel like I achieve success during the day sometimes, where I go into a meeting, I'm like, oh, I don't know, but you come out of it and you're like, yeah, that was a good meeting. Like that was we were very productive in that. That to me is already success. Like success can be in a lot of things, but see it and enjoy it when it happens.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I like that. I think, for me at least, it's always just making progress. Like you said,
Yep.
not being still, and always pushing forward to that next thing, or impacting more people, or whatever that might look like on a personal basis. But yeah, I definitely agree with you there. And it looks like we got our winner. So Tanner, um, how would you like to give him that reward? What do you need, like a wallet address, or?
Yeah, so if Tanner gets in touch with you in a DM or something and gets you his Flux wallet address, then I'll make sure he gets his 50 Flux.
Awesome.
And congratulations, Tanner, for answering all of those questions correctly. I know some of them were not that easy, but I think a lot of people did really well there and looking at the scores. So congrats to all for answering all the questions. And I think this was a really cool way of ending an AMA. I've never done this before. This was pretty cool, the way you handled this. This is very educational as well. I think a lot of people could learn from this.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's definitely one of our biggest things at Cardinal House is promoting education in a space that doesn't have a lot of options available at the moment. So that's definitely a huge opportunity that we see, is really helping people out through education.
Absolutely. Yeah, congratulations, Tanner. That 50 Flux is getting to you. Let Zach know your wallet address, and then we'll get that 50 Flux to you. Congratulations.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to come on and talk to us about Flux and what you guys got going on. Super exciting. I'm really looking forward to seeing how it all unfolds and how it all develops. And I think you guys have a lot going that is really exciting to me. So appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, and I appreciate you taking the time to host an AMA like this, and the way you guys at Cardinal House are approaching the space. I love the educational part of it. To me, that was a no-brainer to jump in on an AMA like this, and I'll gladly do it again later on later in the year. Um, Always open for another invitation. This was really fun, and I think um, I hope everybody was able to take something away from this. Um, and I appreciate everybody joining as well and listening to me ramble for an hour and a half.
Yeah, you guys are always welcome back. And again, thank you to the audience for tuning in. I know your guys' time is very valuable. So spending that listening to what we have to say is very, very humbling. So I'm very appreciative of that.
All right.
But yeah, I hope